The 2025 NFL Draft is officially in the books. Let's draft day recap right here, and let's get into some draft day grades. Can't wait to hear from you guys out there. It's faithful to the Bay. Always smash that like button, and let's get this cracking right here on the Wayne Breezie Show. What's going on, 49er faithful? It's your boy, the Wayne Breezie. Welcome to the Wayne Breezie Show. After the draft, we should call this the after draft, like the aftermath. This should be officially the after draft. What an amazing weekend. Shout out to everybody out there, the Breezy Bunch crew, all the 49er content creators. I know you guys went live just about every day, man. Listen, that is rough, man. That third day, you ready to smack somebody. But shout out to all of you. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Peachy holding it down 3 days in a row. Nothing but Niners holding it down 3 days in a row. And all the other 49er content creators out there, truly salute you guys. But it's good, man. I feel revived. I had to work all weekend. I had weddings and stuff. My wedding season started early. But I got a chance to not watch a lot of film, but I did get a chance to kind of like, I'm writing for WebZone, so I've been doing some research, been digging in the crates, and I can't wait to assess the players that the 49ers drafted, and I can't wait to do film breakdowns with These Are the Breaks exclusively for Patreon members. So go ahead and check out the Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/The Wayne Breezie. All right, make sure you guys go ahead, like the show. All right, make sure you subscribe to the channel if this is your first time watching. Leave some comments in the comment section if you're watching on the replay, Pondy replay. Don't forget to follow me or subscribe to me on all the other social media sites as well. If you're listening to it on the podcast selector, man, make sure you guys are liking it and giving it good reviews, Spotify, Apple playlists as well. And definitely want to send a shout out to our sponsors and partners over at residency.com. All right, you can see the hats in the back. I'm rocking the cool joint right now. www.residency.com. Use that promo code SFBreezy and you'll save on your total purchase. All right, so make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. What's going on, Faithful? How you guys feeling out there? You know what I'm saying? Before we get into the draft day recap, put in the chat, live chat. Let me know how you feeling, man. Describe your feelings in one word. We used to do this emotional check before I used to go to work at one of the schools I used to teach at. And every day we would come in because we wanted to know how our students were feeling. So we would kind of like sit around and say, hey, you know, I'm feeling, you know, whatever the emotion that was attached to that feeling that particular morning. Sometimes students came in and said they feel like, you know, and sometimes they felt great. So I want to know how you guys are feeling. Me personally, I'm feeling a little revived. I'm feeling a little recharged. I'm feeling a little retooled. It's a bunch of re's in my book. You know what I mean? Bunch of re's in my book. Again, shout out to the Breezy Bunch crew. I see you out there. Boats was in the building early. Real early. Don't Bother Me in the building as well. Super shout out to you guys and all the other I see the moderators out there. Nigel's out there. Thanks for being a moderator, fam. Niner faithful moderator. Congratulations on the new moderation, baby. Colin in the building all the way from the UK. I love it. We got our first super chat contribution right here on the show from my bro Montana. Happy Monday, Breezy. So glad you're here, inspired, man. I appreciate that, man. Happy Monday to you as well. It's a great day. It's a great day for the faithful. It's a great day to be a faithful because regardless of your take on the draft, and every take is right. I feel like there's not a bad take out there. Like, I think things are definitely going to be on the up and up. What if I told you, I got a better question. Where have you heard that the 49ers will potentially draft defense for the first 5 picks? I mean, let me know where you heard that. Somebody I know has said that right here on the Wayne Breezie Show. I like the moment Robert Saleh was the defensive coordinator, I knew that this draft was going to be defensive based, heavily defensive drafted, and free agency told us, I mean, they didn't bring back anybody. Man, the free agency was so crazy that they let go players that were still under contract. Leonard Floyd, I didn't expect that. So I knew right away that the Niners were definitely going to be addressing the defense in this particular draft. Like, you know what I mean? It was going to be crazy. Bro says completely refreshed with the draft haul. There were players at the selection you couldn't leave without. Yeah, man. Look, I would say I got Facebook in the building too. James Harris says he's great. I would say there were some reaches. I'm not going to be a stunner and lie and cap out here. I felt like there were a couple of reaches from based off of my draft grading and my draft evaluating. I think the 49ers might have reached on a couple of picks out of their 11. I would say they reached on maybe two out of 11, which is not bad. You know, and I think they got a steal in the draft as well. I'll talk about who I think that steal is for sure. But overall, like, you know, I think the Niners did their thing in the draft. Shout out to, and it was cool to see the scouts, the head scouts, excuse me, be interviewed in the presser and kind of get their time to shine, like, because they've been putting in a lot of hard work. I'm trying to figure out how to get in that realm. I definitely love scouting. Scouting is tough, it's rigorous, but I like it. Like, you know what I mean? I like evaluating the youth. Stephanie in the building. Hey, Faithful, feeling okay? Happy Monday. We're going to get that okay to great. You know what I mean? We're going to get that okay to great. All right. I see questions out there. You know what? First question of the day from my moderator, Nigel Breezy. What do you think of the Rourke pick? Mike loves it. So, I felt like the Niners were going to draft a quarterback. And the reason why I didn't really talk a lot about Curtis Rourke, who did I do a quarterbacks video? He might have been in my top 5 quarterbacks video. He was dealing with the ACL injury, even though he did play. Here's what I like about the pick. I think the Niners, I mean, he's just different. He's different than what we've seen at quarterback. I mean, you get a big quarterback, 6'5", 230 plus, strong arm, can make the throws, deep throws down the field, very tough. And so when you start digging and diving into him, one in Indiana, one in the school, one at the school before, when you start diving into it, I mean, yeah. But he's definitely a pocket guy, like zero mobility, zero escapability. I don't know how he gonna move on the run. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, different. That's how I look at it. I don't know if he makes the roster, but as a 7th round pick, you know, let's see. I feel like he's definitely a better prospect coming out of the draft than Tanner Mordecai was. He might even been a better prospect than what Brock Purdy is. I mean, he got drafted higher than Brock Purdy. Like, let that sink in for a second. Like, you know what I mean? But I do like the pick, Nigel. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if you're not gonna like my grade on the pick, but I think the pick makes sense overall. I think the pick makes sense. And so we'll see what happens, man. I think the Niners definitely got better on defense and special teams, like which were the 2 biggest areas of weakness in my opinion. I know a lot of people are pissed that the Niners didn't address the offensive line, and that's okay. You know, it's okay. Like, you should be pissed, and I understand why you're pissed. But the Niners did not feel the need that they needed to address the offensive line pretty much in this draft. I think the Niners wanted to. I'm hearing that there's some reports coming out right now that the San Francisco 49ers were looking to probably draft one of the top tackles on day 2, but they got sniped. I mean, this is what happens, man. The teams are going to play players off your board. And remember, we did the episode of the big board, right? Now, I think next year I'll do a better job at making my big board so I can also have them numbered as far as, like, yeah, these are my top tackles, but put the number next to them just in case, because that's what happened with the Niners, right? If they were looking to draft one of the top tackles in the draft and then they got sniped and their next tackle, which is on their big board, is like 73 or 188, they're not going to draft the next tackle on the big board. They're going to go to the next player that has a higher ranking for the San Francisco 49ers on their big board. So next year I'll do a different type of big board exercise with actual rankings, number rankings, per the position, because I think that's what the Niners did. But let's go ahead and recap, man, because look, day one was amazing. They got their player. It was really cool to hear that they were willing to trade up. And there's a report out there right now saying that the Niners were trying to trade with the Carolina Panthers at pick 8 and draft Michael. And then you hear all the cool stories about how this was the guy since 2023 that they were looking to get from the scouts. They've been scouting him for a minute. So I think the Michael Williams, and this is going to be in my report when I write for 49ers website, which I started already. I just have to finish writing up the descriptions of each of the draft picks. But the Niners finally get that true edge setter. I personally think that Michael Williams is a better edge setter than Nick Bosa, who's been the professional. I felt like Nick is good at setting the edge, but I think Michael is great at setting the edge. And so trying to run on this defense to the outside is going to be impossible, right? Like, I really feel like that's what the Niners were going. Give me my towers out there to set the edge. And don't get it twisted, man. Like, there were plenty of good edge setters. But if the Niners have a type, which is the big 6'5" frame, sounds like that's their type. And if the Niners have a type, and that's the type they want to rock with, I think they got the best big body defensive end in the draft. Big body defensive end in the draft. So per my grades, I gave the Michael Williams pick a solid A. Not just because it was a first-round pick, but for one, they addressed the trenches. For two, they addressed the edge position, all right? And for three, they are going to put heavy emphasis, okay? Understand what I'm saying? On stopping the run. Heavy emphasis on stopping the run. That's the key. If you watch this draft, and even in my tweets, I'm like, oh, yeah. The run defense was terrible. Run defense was horrible for the 49ers. And it wasn't even like it started off horrible. It's not like every time they played a game, they went out there and the run defense was bad. No, the run defense got bad over time throughout the game. It was like, oh, yeah, we first quarter run defense looked amazing. Then they got gassed. And then it was just like run defense. Second half, teams realized that they could run on the 49ers, and boom, boom, boom. They were just pounding and grounding and pounding against the 49ers run defense up front. So key to the run defense is being able to set the edge on the outside, force those running backs to run into the big guys up the middle, right? Into the teeth of the defense. It's when you let these guys kind of get outside, make these cuts. And I think we got to pay more attention, and I'll do a better job at on the shows. We got to pay a little bit more attention to who we playing against. Let's think about the running backs that we got to deal with just in the NFC West. All right, you got Kenneth Walker IV, you got James Conner from Arizona, and you got Kyron Williams and Blake Corum from the Rams. So we got some running backs that are kind of like outside zone runs. I would say the most powerful of those running backs would probably be the James Conner piece out of Arizona, who definitely took advantage of bullying the 49ers defense up front. So I don't see that ever happening again, not with these big bullies that we got. So the first round pick, Michael Williams, I gave an A. I said that they wanted to set the edge and stop the run. He was one of the best edge setters in college football 2024. He played on a high ankle sprain, but he had a 7.6 run stop rate out there with 16 run stops on a limited season. He missed 2 games, but 16 run stops on a limited season in 2024. And he had a total of 20-plus pressures, so he still was able to get to the quarterback 5 times with 5 sacks, bringing him down. But this kid plays with a high motor. He has a great get-off. So Michael Williams, to me, is just a solid A pick. Not the A++ pick, but definitely an A for the 49ers. And I think going off the draft history, I know a lot of people are a little weary. We drafted Solomon Thomas. Listen, these are 2 different body type styles of players coming out of college. Like Solomon was Solomon, but this is Michael Williams. And if anything, we've seen over the history of time, Georgia defensive players, we've seen them translate to the NFL. We've seen them translate very well into the NFL. So in my opinion, I give that a solid A. Pick 2, Alfred Collins. And this is not the big bowling ball type of a run stuffer. It's not your big nose tackle type of a run stuffer. This is a big 6'6", 332-pound run stuffer. Right? That's what you're getting from Alfred Collins. All right? Alfred Collins, again, is a force up the middle. So if my edge, okay, is forcing them back into Alfred Collins, good luck. Because this guy had 18 total pressures, 1 sack on the season, but he had 27 run stops. We're talking tackles for loss. We're talking getting these running backs down to the freaking ground. That's what we're talking about. 2025, Robert Saleh, all gas, no brakes. He's coming out making a statement saying, give me guys, number 1, that can tackle, and number 2, that aren't afraid to get down, get low, get dirty. One of the things that I like about Alfred Collins, you're not going to get the full body athleticism from him, right? You're not going to get the quick speed and things like that, the splits or whatever. I mean, it's decent for his size, but it's not eye popping. But here's what I do love. If you watch this kid play, quick first step, and he's really quick on his feet. So it's like he's floating on skates out there, and that's good. That's good. Great hands, right? And I feel like the ceiling comp for him, I like Matt Moses. I agree. This is amazing for his size. That's why I said 4.95 for a guy this size. It's not eye popping, it's not eye popping, but at the end of the day, you're saying, man, this defensive tackle could run this fast, being this humongous. Heck yeah, man. These are some of the things I think that stood out, for the 49ers. All right. And I think he ran that at his pro day. If you guys got the pro day stats and stuff like that. But this guy can move. Like I said, he's out there. It's like he's on skates in a good way, right? He's able to control his balance, and he doesn't play with a high pad level. And I think for me, if 6'6" and you can get your pad level low, I was nervous because these big 6'6" guys, these big guys, the Deion Walkers, I think Cam Robinson from Florida, he played with a nice, good pad level, even pad level. If these guys can play with at least an even pad level, it doesn't even got to be low at 6'6", but it's high, that scares me because then they get pushed. They get pushed, especially with the offensive linemen that got those good long arms. They get bullied up front. And I don't see Alfred Collins getting bullied up front in no way. So the quick first step is there. That's a Chris Kosaric thing. And like I said, the ceiling comp is funny because I feel like Michael Williams looks like Chris Jones in the face, but I feel like the body type of Alfred Collins is Chris Jones. That would be that ceiling comp. If he can max out and get to his full potential, and Chris Kosaric can really get into this guy in the way that he needs to and develop him, it's Chris Jones 1,000%. It's Chris Jones 1,000%. 6 batted down passes at the line of scrimmage, man. If you ask me what I love about Chris Jones, I don't care about his ability to sack the quarterback. I mean, that's Chris Jones. I know he could do it. It's his ability to get them damn hands up. That right there, I mean, that's how we lost. Never mind. Anyway, back to Alfred Collins. That's another solid pick. I didn't give it an A, but I gave it a B+. I felt there were other pass rushing defensive tackles that were still equivalent into stopping the run as well, that they could have went with, that were on the board. I believe TJ Sanders was drafted before the Niners made this pick or something. I felt like he got drafted. I can't remember where he got drafted, but I think he's with Buffalo. Can't remember. But anyway, I felt like there were a couple, like Darius Alexander was still available, who I had a higher ranking on. But overall, man, this kid is going to be phenomenal. So it's a B plus for me. So far, a B plus for the San Francisco 49ers. Those are my draft day grades for those two. And again, you'll be able to read this on WebZone once the article is finished and published. And I kind of go into detail. I wanted to give you a little write up on the players and stuff like that. So I'm still working on and editing and stuff like that. So just bear with me, but it'll be on WebZone for sure. All right, here we go. Pick 75. And this, my friends, at pick 75, they went linebacker Nicholas Martin. We call him Nick Martin. All right, Nicholas Martin out of Oklahoma State. Now, to me, this was that one reach. This was their first reach. And I gave it a reach because I had a 7th round grade on him. And I believe a lot of people had undrafted grades on him. But he met with the Niners several times. And it was those meetings that reassured the Niners that he was going to be the pick. Now, there are a lot of things I like about him. So I'm not here to really talk anything negative. I just feel like coming off of the injury, and look, here's my thing. You didn't re-sign the linebacker, quote unquote, because of injuries, and report out there that Dre Greenlaw is dealing with an injury. It was supposed to be like kind of severe, but then that kind of got tamed down a little bit. And I believe the latest report is that Dre Greenlaw is dealing with a strain. All right. So it's not something severe. So he'll probably miss, he'll be all right, basically. But my point is, you moved on from an injury kind of plagued linebacker, and you're drafting a linebacker off of an injury, off of an ACL, I believe was his injury, right? And so it's just like, and he didn't play much of 2024, so that's why you're not getting the crazy film from him. But man, if you had the access to 2000, it was a knee injury against Kansas State in 2020. If you knew what he did in 2023, when he led the league and nation in tackles, 140 tackles, that placed him 7th in NCAA history as far as being a tackling machine, you will understand why I think the Niners went with this guy. But I still feel it was a reach. Now, he was a combine killer for sure. I mean, you want a guy that just flashed athleticism. It's Nick Martin, baby. We talking, what is he, 5'11", 221. Had an 8.45 RAS score. Ran a 4.53. One of the highest 40-yard dashes for linebackers. The top was 4.46. 154 split. I mean, you got to give it to him, man. The kid literally balled out, and he bench pressed 26 reps. So meeting with him at the Senior Bowl was one thing, and he didn't get many reps at the Senior Bowl. I think now I'm starting to understand why I didn't see much of some of the players at the Senior Bowl, and one of them was Nick Martin. Now he worked out, but you didn't really see him do too much, and I now know he's coming off the injury, right? So I didn't know him Senior Bowl, but now that I understand he's coming off the injury, he was kind of tamed back a little bit, but he was set up to run and do his workout at the NFL Combine, which is where he tested off the roof. And once he ran and the Niners met, I believe it was at the Combine. Once he was interviewed, you knew that this was a guy, because you got to find a way to replace Dre Greenlaw. I think the Dre Greenlaw type of linebacker is what makes this 49ers defense flow, right? Yeah, you got the general out there, Fred Warner, and I'm not saying anybody can play that, but it takes a really special player to play on the weak side because of the coverage, because of the speed. They got to be able to have the sideline speed. And so when I was looking at linebackers, and I was presenting linebackers to you guys, I was presenting linebackers that had that sideline to sideline speed. And that's why in some of my mock drafts, I drafted this kid, because I'm like, yo, if they wait on linebacker, if the Niners wait they're going to get that sideline to sideline speed linebacker, weak side linebacker. They could get him sixth, seventh, seventh round. We didn't have any 6th-round picks. So instead, the Niners drafted him at pick 75. And again, not a bad player at all. Just didn't play to back up what he was able to do the season previous. But damn, again, 140 tackles in 2023. I think he was like 4th in the nation that year with tackles for loss, like out of all the linebackers. So the Niners got them a stud at the linebacking spot. But for me, the reach, other linebackers were available. You passed up on other guys like Chris Paul. I think Jeffrey Bossa was there. Like, I think these guys, at least last year, had really, really great production. So you're banking off of production from 2023 opposed to what he did in 2024. And I think that, to me, is a little nerve-wracking for me. So I gave it a C. For Nick Martin. All right, for Nick Martin. So I gave it a C. And that's what it is. So yeah, he didn't have an ACL. He had an MCL. It didn't require surgery, but he had a knee injury. And he was fine at the combine. Like, don't get it twisted. If he was able to run I'm curious to know how fine he was, because he ran a 4.53 coming off of that knee injury. 4.5. So I'm curious to know, once that junk is fully healed, he's probably even faster. So that's even better. All right, so that's even better. So the San Francisco 49ers, they get their linebacker, and they got him early. They got him in the 3rd round. I'm just curious to know what other linebackers they were interested in. I do believe they met with Chris Paul. They met with Kane Medrano from UCLA. But I'm curious to know what other linebackers were they interested in. But they got their guy, so I'm not gonna be too upset. You know how I was liking that? Remember one of my favorite linebackers that I liked? That's a free agent. This is who he reminds me of. You guys are familiar with Isaiah Simmons? He was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. That's who Nick Martin reminds me of. I feel like they got their version of Isaiah Simmons. So they didn't spend money on Isaiah Simmons in free agency because they just drafted the guy. Let me know what you guys think about that comp anyway. But Nick Martin is going to be a problem. He can play the weak side very well. So that was their 3rd round pick. First 3rd round pick 75. And then pick 100. This might be one of my favorite picks because I've been looking for the Niners to get one of those. First of all, if you loved Jahdae Barron from Texas, you're gonna love Upton Stout. Like, I've been high, like they're literally like the same player. They share the same type of versatility, responsibilities. Did I just put those two words together? They do. They do the same thing. They can play nickel. They can play safety, right? And so I think right away, the 49ers upgraded their cornerback room, coming off of a guy that can really play in the slot, right? He can play in the slot. He really reminds me of, I get the Jimmy Ward. Like, I really get that particular type of person. A little undersized. I don't care. 5'9", 180, 182. Don't care. He plays big. Like, the dude is a big-time playmaker. You're talking about a guy with a 78.3 coverage grade. He can rush the passer because he has that 4.4 speed, right? He's quick. And a lot of people are comping him to K'Wan Williams, but K'Wan Williams was just a nickelback. That's why I went with the Jimmy Ward comp, because I believe if you need him to play other than corner, he can play safety for you. He can be a type of a ball hawk guy out there on the football field. All right, he can be that type of a guy. He only had 1 interception last year, but in his career, as far as interceptions, he has a total of 6. So he can play that ball hawk type of safety. He did 2 years at North Texas, 3 years at Western Kentucky. And I love this, like I said, you guys are talking about Operation Boogeyman. You're comparing him to K'Wan Williams, and that's cool. But I'm telling you, he has more versatility than K'Wan Williams did. Now, if you utilize him just as a slot guy, I give it to you, dog. That's your K1. And that's a guy, in my opinion, that Robert Saleh needs to make his defense tick. He needs a guy he can count on in the slot. Love Demo. Felt like Demon was going to be that guy, but then you were reaching to put another guy on the outside when teams come out in 11 personnel. All right. And the guys that, if you don't know what 11 personnel is by now, you have not been watching these shows. 11 personnel is 3 wide receiver sets. So you get your 1 tight end, your 1 running back. And so a lot of teams are looking to go to that because a lot of teams just don't have the 2 tight ends. They don't have the big 2 tight ends. You know what I mean? So for me, in my opinion, I love the Upton Stout pick. I love the versatility that he's going to bring. I don't care about his underside. Oh, did I talk about his ability to tackle and not being afraid to tackle? I mean, that really reminds me of Jimmy Ward. Like, Jimmy was willing to put his body in on just about every play. But yeah, again, I really do think that the San Francisco 49ers got themselves a nickel back that doesn't have to really work on being a nickel. He already has the skills. Last year, they were trying to force Renardo Green to learn a nickelback spot as an outside corner, and it just didn't fit him. It just didn't fit him. I think the Niners drafted for fit in this draft, and they got specific players that fit what they needed to do. They're not forcing players to play something that they're just uncomfortable with. I think that makes perfect sense. You know what I'm saying? I think that makes perfect sense. Can he play? I see. Can he play on the outside? Absolutely. I mean, the kid is versatile like that. That's my point. Took most of his snaps in the slot. 355 of his snaps were in the slot. 71 was at corner. 30 free safety. 99 in the box last year. This kid can play, and then just throughout his collegiate season, I mean, the numbers are there. He started off as an outside guy. All right, so 1,293 snaps as an outside corner, 455 in the slot. So he started out as an outside guy. You did 2 full years 3 full years. Well, 5 full years just mainly as an outside corner. So, yeah, the versatility is there. 202 snaps in the box and 30 as your free safety. So, I feel like the Niners get another dogs. Like, that's what the Niners were drafting. Dogs with versatility. So, listen, however you want to comp them, that's fine by me. But if you don't see Jimmy, no problem. If you see Kwan, cool. But the fact that his versatility gives me Jimmy. Kwan and Jason weren't versatile. So that to me gives me Jimmy Ward. Because remember, Jimmy came in as a safety. Then they wanted to force him to play nickel. And he did it. And he did it well. Right? He did it well. Not everybody could do that. You know what I'm saying? But he's coming in as a nickel. And an outside corner who could play on the outside. But I feel like he got really fluid hips, man. Really fluid hips. Brian, what's going on? Are you talking about, let's say he's the new hybrid linebacker. He's at least a B and Upton is a savage, period. He hits way harder than Ward. I thought Ward, he might hit harder than Ward, but Ward wasn't afraid to tackle. I think that was my thing. Like, we got safety. It's not about just hitting hard. You got to be able to wrap and tackle. You know what I mean? I'd rather the guy wrap and tackle and hit soft like a Twinkie as long as he get the guy down instead of going for the big hit and missing the tackle. Like, I think we got too many missed tackles. But, yeah, I get that. I gave him a B. I gave Nick Martin a B due to the value of the position. There were other linebackers that definitely were ahead or just of him as far as what they did, as far as production, especially for 2024. I think part of the injury, it's a question mark, right? Like, now he's going to be put through a rigorous NFL system. Is his knee really that great? I understand it was an MCL. I get it. It wasn't something severe. It didn't require surgery. But what happens if he comes in and now he needs surgery? And then all of a sudden we drafted a guy with a knee issue that needed surgery. Like, that's what I'm saying. So we don't really know, but I felt like they could have went with a more sure linebacker pick. But again, his upside, his ceiling, I think is probably greater than some of these linebackers that were drafted higher than him. So Nick Martin is going to be a stud. I didn't downplay anything that he did. He's hella athletic. His production was great the prior season of him getting injured. And if the Niners feel like they can get him back to that, if that's still him coming off that injury when he has to play now against grown-ass men, then it's all great. It's going to end up being an A-plus pick if you think about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's going to end up being an A-plus pick. Jeff says, Wayne, one thing that isn't being talked about is how good we complimented the players, drafted Alfred Collins for finally that true nose tackle, CJ West for the one gap penetration, and obviously Michael Best on the run. You're right? I don't even think Alfred Collins is just a true nose tackle, bro. Like, I think he can line up anywhere on that defensive line. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him on the outside running stunts, but I definitely understand your theory and thought processing on this, Jeff. It makes perfect sense. They got the big guy up front, and again, he's not big like as far as like being wide. He's tall, and so his weight translates, like his proportion of weight is perfect, right? Because he's a big mother freaker, but he can move. Like, you know what I mean? So I really do like that pick. I really do like that pick. So Upton Stout. I gave Upton Stout a B. I gave that grade a B minus for Upton Stout. All right, the second round 4 pick on day 3. Was CJ West. Now, drafting CJ West, you have no idea how happy I was to see him become a 49er, because if you got a chance, first you had to get a chance to you watch the East-West Shrine Bowl, right? Then you had to watch him at the Combine. And I was like, oh shoot, this kid is a ball of energy. Like some people, sometimes you just need energy. Where am I going to get energy from? Oh, I know. You could get it from a kid named CJ West, defensive tackle out of Indiana. What you're going to get from him is non-stop motor. So the get off is great. This kid lives in the backfield. Tackles for loss is phenomenal. He's going to make tackles. I think he's going to end up with more pressures and sacks than Alfred Collins. Like, I just feel like the way that the Niners are designing the scheme up front and his motor and get off, we're talking a guy, like, when that ball snapped, it's so perfectly timed. And he already lives in the backfield, so the tackles for loss are there. But now we're talking about him getting to quarterbacks. I don't care if his production on sacks were low. I don't care if he only had 1 sack. I don't care if he only had 25 total pressures. I don't care. It's the first time, like, I'm saying I don't care about the results on what they did in college. I just know, watching the film on him, this kid penetrates that defensive front. There were like, really, I would say, 2 big time disruptive penetrators that one had a crazy high, that have pretty decent pass rushing rates, right? The sacks numbers were low, but man, they were disruptive. Him and Aeneas Peebles from Virginia Tech. And so the Niners went with the bigger one of those two. 6'2", 317. We're talking 6'2". Now the leverage is there, right? Natural leverage, right? He ain't got to worry about the pad level being too high because he's just not tall enough. Amen to that. So it's naturally built into his base. And I think that's what helps him. It's what helped Aaron Donald. Everybody gave him bad grades. Aaron Donald. He's not going to be anything. He's the strongest man we've watched play this sport of football. Literally lived in the backfield. And sacked the quarterback. Matter of fact, somebody tell me how many sacks did Aaron Donald have in his career at Pitt? I'm just curious to know if the number was high or if the number was low. I'm just curious to know. But if it was high, cool. If it was low, proves my point. It's all about who they got up front to complement him. And I think the Niners' rotation of defensive tackles with this to me was the biggest weakness on the front. I felt like the Niners needed better defensive tackles. And I feel like they've gotten them. And you're going to mix in the Evan Anderson. Kevin Givens will be back off of his injury. I think the Niners' rotation of defensive tackles is going to be crazy. And in my opinion, CJ West played more of a nose tackle coming out of Indiana. So you got 2 guys that can play that technique as well as the 1, as well as the 3. So, this is going to be interesting to really watch. Silent, we got a super chat contribution from Silent. I just happened to see that. As Purdy, no contract, no play, virtually 0 O-line help. You know what? We didn't get to the O-line yet. But you know what I'm saying? So he was definitely so that makes Aaron Donald a finisher. He was a disruptor and a finisher. What I don't get from CJ West and Alfred Collins is they're disruptive. They bring the pressure, but they're not the finishers. So, and I think out of the two that we drafted, I think CJ West will end up being that finisher. I think he would end up with more sacks, is what I'm saying, than Aaron Collins. Thank you, Tara Don, for that. I didn't have the stats right in front of me, so I do appreciate that. All right. Now, back to Silent's comment. Virtually zero O-line help. I tell you what, we got a lot of shows to do right here in the Wayne Breezie Show in the upcoming offseason. And I'm going to break down every freaking position group right here. And we're going to go through it. I was going through the Niners offensive linemen. They currently have 16 offensive linemen, so they didn't add much. I mean, they literally have a lot of bodies there for the offensive line. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of the offensive linemen actually gradually get better. Look, I'm going to put my hot take out there, and I know I tweeted this earlier, but I think Spencer Burford is going to start at left guard. I think Burford left guard, Trent Williams left tackle, center Jake Brendel, and I think Matt Hennessy gives him a real good run for his money and during training camp. I really do. And then left a right guard, Dominic Pooney, right tackle, Colt McKivitz. I wouldn't be surprised if Spencer Burford is the starting left guard, and I think he plays way better on the left side than he does the right side. The left side was his natural side anyway, and he drafted him as a left tackle. And you heard John Lynch say, well, we could use him at tackle, we could use him at guard. You know what I'm saying? Listen, don't be surprised. And if he's not the starter, he's the swing, and he's the swing on the offensive line. So I think Spencer Burford, going into his year 4, I believe, I think he's going to end up being a force out there for the 49ers offensive line. I think this is one kid that we're actually watching develop under Chris Forster. Like, we're really watching him naturally develop. And I know he's had some hiccups, and I know we're pissed off at him. I'm not, but I know the faithful are they're mad at him or whatever. Listen, I get it. Missed that block on Chris Jones. Understand. But at the end of the day, like, when he came in this past season and he had to play on the left side and he filled in for the guard spot, man, he was good. He filled in for Aaron Banks. So I'm not saying that the offensive line can't be better, but I'm willing to give the offensive line a chance just to see if some of these players that the Niners drafted develop. Like, I want to see Nick Zakelj. What the hell is he? I can't even tell you what Nick Zakelj's position is. Is he a guard? Is he a tackle? Is he a center? What is it? I'm just curious to know. So we'll see what happens out there. But I really do think Spencer Burford, hot take, drop the bomb, boom, will be starting on the 49ers offensive line this year. You may not like it, but I think he's going to play a lot better next to Trent Williams than Aaron Banks did. All right. Is that what you're saying? Is he still Brock Purdy's roommate? That's cool. I see some questions out there, and we'll finish recapping the draft. And appreciate to everybody that's watching. We got a nice live crowd today, man. That's beautiful. It's beautiful to see the numbers here, and whether it was 1 or 1,000, it's just good to see everybody here, man. Just talking Niners. Ronnie, what's going on, bro? Says, Wayne, do you think we are set on the tight end position? I sure do. Like, I thought I wanted a tight end, okay. But they drafted a tight end. I mean, they addressed the tight end position in free agency. They got a guy that I think they really like in Mason Pline. I can't wait to see if he develops. That's your kind of like that big basketball pass catching type of a tight end, right? Jake Tonjes is here. I believe they still got him. And so I think we got 5 tight ends. I think they're going to pay George Kittle, so George Kittle will be here. And then it's kind of like seeing who's going to develop. I thought we were going to go after one of those Jordan Reed-esque type of tight ends. But we did bring in a tight end. We'll talk about the guys that are undrafted, and we'll also talk about the guys that are coming into rookie minicamp that have been invited. So the tight end position isn't solidified. The tight end 2 position isn't solidified. Well, maybe the tight end 2 position is solidified, but that tight end 3 role hasn't been solidified. I think the guarantees and Farrell's contract lets us know that he's tight end 2. So it's Kittle, Farrell, and then what we're going to do after that, But I thought we were going to go with Jalen Conyers. I really did. I didn't think we were going to pass up on a guy that can be a weapon. But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, let's get back to this draft recap. All right, so I'm not going to break all of these guys down. You can read about the rest of the picks. But Jordan James, I gave a B. It's the running back out of Oregon. Listen, low contact balance. The kid is a force. He's a better Jordan Mason. He's a faster Jordan Mason. He's an outside zone and gap penetrator Jordan Mason. He can pass block. He can catch out of the backfield. So I think what separates him from Jordan Mason is his ability to pass block. I think that's key for him. I think that's key for him. So we got Jordan. Let me see if I got these right. We got make sure I got the right order. My apologies. We went Jordan Watkins first, the wide receiver at 138. So my bad. So Jordan Watkins, wide receiver at 138. I gave that a what did I give that? I gave that a B minus. I gave Watkins a B minus. Not very high on him coming out of college. There were other wide receivers that I was watching from Ole Miss, but when you look at what he's able to do, he can still get open. He's a great route runner. He's a route technician, believe it or not, right? He's a guy that can create separation and get open, and he finds holes in the zone. I was high on Kyle Williams, and Jordan Watkins does exactly what Kyle Williams does. I don't know if his footwork is as dangerous and as quick as making people just go one direction and he go a different, but I do know he could get open. He finds holes in the zone, and I think what you really love about Jordan Watkins is his ability to run after the catch, right? I don't know. Raise your hand if you miss Yak. Give me Yak. That's what he is. He's a Yak guy. And so I think the Niners at 5'11", they get another Yak wide receiver. Hey, there was a wide receiver at 5'11" they drafted in the first round with freakish wingspan and ability. His name is Brandon Ayuk. So this is a guy that I think will probably, I don't know if he'll see the field of the day. He's not great run blocking. So that's why I gave him a B minus, but his ability to be able to get open and create separation is huge. And he's a 4.37 guy, right? It's a fast motherfucker, right? Like, so the Niners back-to-back years got 4.3 guys. And he's not your 4.3 guy that's going to look to take the top over the defense. That's not who he is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not who he is. But he can. He does have that ability. I still think Jacob Cowan would be the guy that takes the top off the defense. So let me just say this. I put out these three wide receivers in this particular set. All right. I put out Ricky Pearsall, 4.41. I put out Jacob Cowan, 4.38. And then I put out Jordan Watkins, 4.37. And I let Jordan Watkins be the slot guy. So if I got Jacob Cowan running down the field at 4.38, which is hard to cover, that means the top of the defense is being taken off. That means there's holes in the middle of the field. That means Jordan Watkins will have an ability to freaking be dynamic out there on the football field, right? I like the pick. I'm not going to lie, but there were other wide receivers that I thought the Niners could have went with at pick 138. Jordan Watkins was the guy they brought in for the top 30 visit. I heard he nailed the interviews. People think those interviews don't matter. He nailed the interview. So Jordan Watkins was the pick for sure. And I gave him a B minus. Back to Jordan James at pick 147. All right. Pick 147, Jordan James. Fifth round pick. I like him. There were other running backs. I can't remember. Was Brashard Smith still available? I think he ended up going to Kansas City. I can't remember off the top of my head. But here's what I like about George James, and I gave it a B. And I gave it a B. His versatility, right? His ability to be able to catch out of the backfield, I think, is huge. And I think for Bobby Turner, that was it. And that's why I said he's a better version of Jordan Mason. He's already coming in here knowing how to run routes, knowing how to get open, and knowing how to be that check down guy. He's also it's really hard to find a running back that is equivalent and great at outside zone and running through the gaps. This kid has the vision out there as a running back. and he has the power to run through the gaps, and he has the speed to get to the outside. And I think that's a Bobby Turner running back, right? I think that's a solid pick. So overall, I gave that a B. And I think that's a really good pick for the San Francisco 49ers. Where will he be up on the depth chart? I mean, wait till you check out the running back stable. It's kind of starting to be deep. It's deep, right? It's Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Guerrero, Jordan James, Patrick Taylor II, Israel Abanaconda is still there. Of course, Kyle Juszczyk. So I think there's 6 running backs, if I'm not mistaken. Look, Jordan James has an opportunity to come out here and definitely showcase what he's able to do. It gives me the Elijah Mitchell vibes, right? Like, what were the Niners missing? Elijah Mitchell was a great run pass protector and pass protecting. What does Jordan James do? He can protect his quarterback, right? That's first and foremost, right? So now if he's out there on the football field, you don't have to worry about your quarterback getting sacked, because this kid can pick up the blitzes. That's what he can do. He can protect the quarterback. He's great at it. He has the low contact balance to run, and I think he just runs with great power. It's like his speed and power is like perfectly balanced, man. Speed and power is like perfectly balanced. So I really do like the Jordan James pick, but I gave it a B. Marquise Siegel was the second, 5th round pick 160 for the 49ers. Now this guy, I think I like my favorite picks, I think, are Upton Stout and Marquise Siegel. I don't know why, but I like this kid. Fastest safety in the draft, hella athletic and versatile. They got 2 guys, so they got 2 interchangeable pieces. You look at Marquise Siegel. He can play corner. He can play in the slot. That's what he can do. He can play in the slot, right? So he can play in the slot, but he's in safety. He's a safety, and the thing I like about him is his ability to cover. And he loves to tackle. And when you get a guy that's just a dog, what do you want? That's what he is. He's a dog out there. And that's what I think the San Francisco 49ers need. They need more dogs. They need more guys that are all gas, no brakes. Not just about their 40 speed, but how well do they play at that 40 speed, and how accurate and consistent do they play at that 40 speed. 24 run stops out there on the football field, 49 tackles, 16 assisted tackles out there, 3 pressures, no sacks on the season. And again, when I talk about versatility, I mean, he played 520 snaps in the slot. So he was more of a slot guy than he even played safety. I'm telling you, him and Upton Stout, I hope they're not battling now. I hope those 2 pieces that they drafted, and I hate to say it in this kind of a way, beat out the veterans that they signed in free agency. That's what I'm hoping. Can't keep everyone. Yeah. So I believe he was the fastest safety in the draft. Did I have that wrong? Let me make sure. Let me go back and double check my notes. I got to check my chart. Let's see, fastest safety in the draft. I'm right, 4.37. He ran a 4.37, sir. Fastest 40 time at the NFL Combine, 4.37. So he got the fastest NFL Combine speed. It was slightly faster than Nick Emanwari at 4.38. But I like it. You know what I mean? I like it a lot. Oh my gosh, I saw a question. Side eye. Breezy, your thoughts on Kyle hiding through Mustafa freaking injury? Bruh. When I found out that Mustafa had an injury, I'm like, come on, Craig. Like, come on, Craig, man. No, Craig. I was tight because I'm like, yo, we got through the draft. The draft was beautiful. Mustafa's gonna be here, and and now he's dealing with the re-aggravated ACL injury. Now, per his mom, and I'm going with mom over everything. Per his mom, he fine. So that's how I'm looking at it. If his mama said he fine, then he fine. I'm not gonna argue against mom. You don't ever argue with the mom. If the mom know more than the child know. The mom know. So I'm going to go with mom on this one. His mama said he good. I think he'll be just fine. Can't wait to see him come back. Year 2 to be phenomenal. I hope when he hits that football field, he's just ready to really just dog out, right? I don't even want him to ball out. I want these guys to dog out. So Mom going to be fine. I mean, Mom said he's going to be fine. I was a little uptight when that injury came out, though. I ain't even going to lie. Like, you know what I mean? I was a little uptight with the injury. Curtis Warwick was our first 7th round pick. I talked a little bit about him. I heard my boy Mike is super high on him. And I like it. You know, I like it a lot. Good to see you too, Melissa. Curtis Rourke, big freaking quarterback, man. You talking big body, 6'5", 238. The kid can sling the ball. Let me look up his accuracy. That's important. And I think what a lot of people like about, what you really like about Kurt is his heart, man. I think the heart is what separates him from anybody, because you're talking about a player that played on the ACL, right? He was playing on a torn ACL. Yeah, you can't measure that. Like, how you play on that? How you grade an 88.4 on a torn ACL? I think that's kind of fucking dope. Now that I think about it, 68.9% completion percentage. I mean, anything at that rate is good for me. 9.4 yards per average, 29 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. Injured, 6'5". I had him at 230. I think PFF got the weight wrong, or it's old. Big time throws, man. 19 of them motherfreakers down the field, bro. This is what I like. I like that about him. I'm not gonna lie. That's what I like. I like that he's gonna look to put the ball down the field. I think Kyle is gonna like it too, and I think if he comes into camp relatively healthy, I think there's a possibility that he beats out Mac Jones. If he's healthy, if he's good to go, there's a possibility that he beats out Mac Jones. And for me, I watched this kid. He played in the Big Ten. He played pretty decent against Michigan's defense. He was 28 for 38 in that game. 17 completions. He was 17 for 28. 2 touchdowns in that game. He did throw, one of his interceptions came from Michigan. He played against the Ohio State. He wasn't good against Ohio State. He was good against Ohio State and Notre Dame. He struggled against. But 7th round pick, 227. I mean, he might be a better prospect. And I'm curious to know, like, why did the Niners go? Why they didn't want to wait on him, because they felt like he was going to get drafted. That was their response, you know. Look, I think the kid is nice. Now, as far as mobility, you ain't getting none. Don't worry about him moving around the pocket. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not what he's going to do. Okay? Yeah, it ain't his game. He going to stay in that pocket. He going to deliver a strike, a completion. Kid is tough. You don't build quarterbacks. And I think drafting a quarterback like this, it does not jeopardize our guy Brock Purdy. But, man, when you get a 6'5", 220-plus guy that can withstand some of the hits of the big NFL guys, you love it, right? He's an older guy. He's going on 25. He already has a lot of experience under his belt. He came from the University of Ohio, transferred into Indiana his last year in 2024, and had a phenomenal year. Injured. Let that sink in. I mean, played injured on top of that. A couple of more Super Chat contributions before we cap off today's Draft Grade shows. I didn't give that a high grade neither. I gave that a C. I felt like the Niners needed other positions, and I still feel like they could have waited to the very last pick to draft a quarterback. So I gave it a C. Oh, well, Mike's not going to like that. Nick, what's going on? What up, Breezy, my brother? Like with any draft, only time will tell how the draft pans out, but we definitely addressed a lot of needs. Go Niners. You are 100% correct, bro. These are just based off of the value, based off of who was still available at the time we drafted. All these grades are taking with the grain of salt, man. Each their own. I saw PFF gave the 49ers overall a D+, bro. And I like PFF. I don't even know what they smoking, dog. Like, I can't even lie. But thank you for the contribution. Sean in the building with a Super Chat contribution. Bro, this was a great draft. Rourke has a big arm and a dog. What up with the corner from BYU? Another dog. You talking about my man, We'll talk about him in a second. I know you're talking about Kyle needs a dunce cap for not addressing the offensive line. Oh, he has answers. Our quarterback getting sacked. I know, man. A lot of people are pissed at Kyle. I get it. I'll tell you what, y'all not wrong for being mad. Like, if you wanted more offensive line, I got you. But let me just say this. 2025 draft, you're going to have cream of the crop offensive linemen coming out. And if the Niners are picking 31 to 32, they're going to fall. Somebody's going to fall. I'm going with that theory right now, that somebody's going to fall. The last two picks. All right, the last two picks I did want to address really quickly, and you can watch my video from yesterday, my reaction video that I did. I kind of went into their stats and broke them down just a little bit here, and I'm going to do film breakdown on the Patreon again. Let's talk about Connor Colby, because I think that's the money pick right there. I'm telling you, Connor Colby is I don't know how he fell, but I do know that linemen, after the first wave, there was a big break on offensive linemen being drafted. So I'd say after those first 3 rounds, it was a big break, right? I think that the Niners lucked up and they got one of their top guys fall right to them in round 7. And I was talking to Uncle Salty, I think, and I was like, man, I think guys are gonna fall, man. Just got to be patient. And then we drafted Curtis Work. And then I was like, I just think there's going to be somebody fall. And let me tell you about Connor Colby. I have a 3rd round grade on him, 3rd to 4th round grade. And a lot of the analysts out there, the experts, have 3rd to 4th round grades on him. And his ability, he's versatile on the offensive line, and he fits the wide zone. Right, we're not just a zone running team. We're an outside zone running team, right? So we're looking to hit the outside of the tackle, way outside of the tackles, right? And so that's why I feel like Colt McKivitz, we needed an upgrade on that right side. We run better on the left side because Trent Williams has the gifts. If we had a more, like, we would have drafted like a Charles Grant or Chase Lunt that has the speed. Like, cause think about it. Mike McGlinchey was a way better run blocker than he was pass protector. And I think Colt McKivitz is just a better pass protector than he is run blocker, but he's getting better. But at the end of the day, like, I feel like that's what we're missing on the right side. But hey, he can play guard. He can play tackle. They said they're going to use him as guard. He's going to be that dominant pony. And hey, he might come in and give Spencer Burford and Ben Barch a run for their money, and then he'll be a rookie starting on the offensive line. But my hot take is that I think Spencer Burford, it depends on where they got him. If they got him at guard, I think he'll be the starting guard. But if they want him to be the swing tackle because you drafted Connor Colby, a guy that only gave up 1 sack, come on, man. Let me just see how many sacks Connor Colby gave up in his career. I think that's hell of important. Just as a college student. But I really love the pick because I felt like the Niners got a stud in the 7th round, and you don't get stud offensive linemen ever in the 7th round, like ever, like in the 7th round. Like, you just don't get studs like in the 7th round, if that makes sense. They got a stud, in my opinion. Career sacks, let's see, total of 7. So out of his 4 years at Iowa, 7 sacks, 15 hits, 36 total pressures, only 6 penalties in 4 years. Only 6 penalties in 4 freaking years. Like, give it to me, baby. Like, it's about, get some smart motherfuckers on this line that know how to play offensive line, please. Okay? Get some guys. I like Connor Colby. I think he's going to be the steal of the draft. He's that money pick. I think they got them a solid offensive lineman in the 7th freaking round. I really do. Sean, you are too funny, and I'm going to read your contribution. He said Mike but Clinchy. Mike was good. Mike was good in the run blocking game. He was the best option we had at tackle. But man, when them bull rushers came through, ooh, Jesus, they were tough. All right, the last pick of the draft, nobody knows about Junior Bergen or Bergen. I think that's how you say his name. Nobody knows much about him. But listen, let me tell you, you don't need to know anything about him. I gave the pick. Oh, my Connor Kobe grade was an A minus. The Junior Burgeon grade, I gave a C. All right, but because he's just not, he's not one of those premier cream of the crop wide receivers. Obviously, you're not going to get any of those guys in the 7th round. I mean, unless the draft was just wacky. But what they did get, and if I was grading him on this alone, it would be an A, because this guy is the all-time special teams returner coming out of the University of Montana. I mean, I'm just going to read his awards. He was the Athletic Director, FCS Athletic Directors Association Return Specialist of the Year. He was the Associated Press All-American, Stats Perform All-American, All Big Sky Kick Returner, Punt Returner, and Wide Receiver. He won the Steve Carlson Team MVP Award. He was preseason All Big Sky Punt Returner, All-Purpose Player. He was named to the East-West Shrine Bowl, so he made that list. First time, listen, this kid, the Niners, remember I said they got better on defense and special teams? There you go. Defense and special teams. Listen, this kid finally, you don't got to worry about seeing Trent Taylor back there. You don't got to worry about seeing Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing. You don't got to see them. If they got a guy that can do it. Now, can he crack this roster as a wide receiver? That's the question. Will he be able to beat out Tariq Owens and some of those guys that are looking to get, if we go 6 spots, that 6th spot? And I think the injury to Brandon Ayuk is going to help an extra wide receiver anyway. Plus, we got those older guys, Isaiah Hodgins, Russell Grant Jr. So we got some guy, Russell Gage Jr., excuse me. So we got some guys here already. But man, if this kid is that electrifying in the return game, I can't wait. And he's not a bad receiver, so don't get it twisted. Like, I don't want people to think he's a bad receiver. No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you're not necessarily drafting him for his receiver experience. But I can tell you what I did watch when I saw him play. He's a dog. You ain't got to worry about him being a cat. Meow. You ain't got to worry about no Dante Pettis 2.0. I see that in the chat. Don't bring that stuff up in here, cheesecake. Nah. This dude's a dog. 1,000% dog. So overall, my overall draft grade for the San Francisco 49ers, I gave that a C. Overall draft grade, 84. That's a B minus. I think that's pretty good, man. Let me know, B minus range. I think that's solid. Again, we don't know what some of these players are going to be. Even some of the good players we drafted, they might not pan out. We don't know. But I think overall, draft-wise, you know what I'm saying? I think they did a pretty damn good job. It's hard to get 11 picks right, you know? It's easier to get 7 picks. You got 7 picks. It's easier. You know, you got 11, and depending on where you are, you really got to do some work, you know? The more isn't always the merrier. You know, it can bring your grade down. It could do a lot of things. But I think the Niners in this particular draft definitely was able to go after their needs. They were able to fulfill several needs. Dre Greenlaw gone, so they got motherfreaking linebacker. Talanoa Hufanga gone, so they got Marcus Siegel, all right? Nick Martin, Marcus Siegel, welcome to the 49ers, right? And then you look at the offensive line, Aaron Banks gone. Oh, I know, they got Connor Colby in the 7th round. They didn't waste a 2nd round pick on a guy that may not work. They got him in the 7th round. If he doesn't pan out, oh, well, it was a 7th rounder. If he pans out, ding-a-ling-a-ling, school bell ring. Like, they get it right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the Niners are, to me, I said that I thought that John Lynch was out there master chefing, and he literally chefed the hell out of this draft, in my opinion. I really, truly do believe that. Arter, I got you, bro. Let's talk about real quick the undrafted free agents for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, these guys went undrafted, and they chose to sign with the 49ers. These guys were free agents. Key words in the FA is free agent. So they went undrafted, right? And these guys were free agents. So let's take a quick look at what I think about how the Niners essentially got better just by getting some guys to come in here. Corey Kiner is a dog. Like, They got another running back with great low contact balance, super high athleticism, outside zone runability, has the power to run inside. What are we doing here? Like, what is going on? I feel like Corey Kiner is going to make this roster. I do. There's some running backs that we signed 1-year deals, free agent. I think Corey Kiner makes this roster. He has gifts out there on the football field. I'm going to leave it at that. Why did he go undrafted? Probably because he went to Cincinnati and they just weren't good. That's the only thing I could think. Drew Moss. Nobody's talking about this small school monster of offensive lineman. And again, they get Drew Moss as a guard. He's a dog. I kind of started to like these smaller schools because, I'm a huge fan of North Dakota State offensive linemen. I feel like they translate very well in the NFL. That's why I was high on Gray Zabel. But Drew Moss, he's come out here, man. He's going to compete for that guard position. It doesn't mean it's all locked in for Connor Colby, Ben Barch, Spencer Burford, Nick Kelly. No, they bringing in guys with really good skill sets to come in here and play. He might just be one of the best best undrafted free agents that they got out of the 6 that they got. Jacob Robinson, cornerback out of BYU, another freaking dog. You're talking about a guy out there with good athleticism, good coverage skills. And I know you're saying, well, Wayne, then why didn't they go drafted? I don't know why certain players don't get drafted. You know what I mean? But I do know that some players, when they don't get drafted, they come out there and they betting on themselves. And there are several players that the Niners have that they were able to flip into contracts. And the last person that we know was our guy, running back now, Jordan Mason, right? Flipped him for a 6th-round pick. So at the end of the day, man, some of these guys are going to be good. I'll break these guys a little bit more down, but I do like Jacob. Sebastian Valdez, another force up the middle. So now I feel like he gives you a little bit more of that pass rush from the interior, but another big guy up front. Isaiah Nair was at the Senior Bowl, and I don't know why he wasn't a draft pick. How did all 32 teams miss? He might be the steal. He might be the steal of the undrafted guys. I like Drew Moss. Oh my gosh, but Isaiah Nair, I think is going to be a problem. And I like for the Niners, man, they're going to have their hands cut out for them trying to figure out. You know what I'm saying? I think what set him back, he had 5 TDs. 455 total yards, but he did average 13.4, so that's a good number. Let's look at his drops. Only 3 drops. I don't know. He was slow as hell. Like you saw some slow guys. There are a couple of wide receivers. What's the guy from Miami? Did he get drafted? Xavier. My guy, I can't think of his name. The kid from Miami. He had the super slow 40 time. Just curious to know if he got drafted. Because if not, that explains things. Them receivers, them 40 numbers are important. Regardless of what you did. But I'm surprised that people don't trust him on the field. I mean, this kid came out when I said he's hella athletic. Here in a 4-4 with a 1-5-1 split. I mean, maybe this is where the production didn't stand out. Maybe he just wasn't high produced, but he went to Nebraska. Man, what are they doing out there? What are they doing in Nebraska? Here's what I like about him, just as far as off of his physical attributes. He's 6'4". Thank God. 6'4" guy. Because you got to look at Jawan Jennings. You got to look at, are you going to bring Jawan Jennings back? 84. Arthur says 84 should be a B. I think 85 starts for B's for me. So 80 through 84 is a B minus. 85 through 87 is a B, and then 88 through 89 is a B plus. Those are my numbers. I'm sticking with it. But Isaiah Nair, 6'4", big catch radius, only 3 drops on the season. Had his best career year, transfer from Texas. Had his best year in 2021 in Wyoming. I don't know. Maybe the Niners got them a guy. But again, I look at him, he's a faster version of Jawan Jennings. I think that, for me, is keys. A little bit taller. He's a lot faster. And Jawan Jennings is on a contract year. And Jawan Jennings will probably have an amazing year to which he is going to ball out. Like, I'm expecting Jawan Jennings to be a 1,000-yard wide receiver and Pro Bowler this year, hands down. May even be an All-Pro. So if that happens, there's no way the 49ers are going to sign Jawan Jennings. Like, it's just not going to happen, all right? Because they already signed Brandon Ayuk, and that's the deal on that, all right? Let me get to these super chats. We got a couple more, and then I see a couple of questions I wanted to get to. Sean, he says, hey, Dante P had great hair for a poodle. Listen, Dante Pettis was an electrifying, he was a good receiver too, but he really stood out as a kick returner. So I get that, but you also drafted him, what, in the 2nd round? Nah, not this year. You got that guy in the 7th round. You know what I mean? John says, were you aware Mike Shanahan was Rourke's coach? Explain the pick a bit better. Did not know that. I was not aware of that. And the Niners, thank you for that, man. Appreciate the super chat contribution as well. I did not know that, and it does give you context because the Niners love connections. I think the Niners love connections. I feel like that the receiver that they were going after wasn't wasn't Watkins, or I think they wanted Alec or Elic Ayumander, but I think he got drafted, right? I think the Niners got sniped, so they had to go with a different option. But at the end of the day, this makes sense because that's the connection, right? Father, son. Hey, I got a quarterback you should look out for, son. This kid's he's got a big, strong ass arm, and he's very good completion percentage. Doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. Could see over the offensive line. Got pretty decent hand size. Could grip the ball in inclement weather. And so that makes perfect sense, man. Thank you for that super chat contribution too, by the way. Big Daddy Niners in the building. What's going on, baby? This is Breezy Talk to Mike about Curtis Rourke. Yeah, I definitely will. Listen, I'm not saying he's dookie or anything like that. No. Listen, the Niners drafted dogs. I want people to go with that concept. They got a dog at a quarterback. We're talking about a guy that played on an ACL injury. Probably why his mobility was terrible. But at the end of the day, they drafted a dog. And I think that's what they were looking to go after. They were looking to go after guys that could fit the scheme and fit what they were trying to do. And they got dogs. So I will talk to Mike about it. I can't wait to see what Mike has to say about Curtis Rourke. That's probably his guy, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. I know he wanted Seth Hennigan, but who knows? Mike changes up all the daggone time. So I appreciate that, man. You know what I'm saying? Listen, you guys have been an amazing audience. Give yourselves a round of applause. The poll question is, what did you guys grade? And 68% of you, let me try to go back and heart all of these super chat contributions. My bad. 68% as I look for the damn poll to pop up said 67% said B. So you guys overall gave it a B. Man, that's dope. I think we were in the same boat as far as B's and stuff like that. And for those that gave it a worse grade, hey man, that's your prerogative. If they didn't exceed your expectations, I totally get it. I can't explain the offensive. Here's my theory about the offensive line. The Niners never draft high in the position unless it's a need. That's my take. So just going into 2026 season, if Trent Williams retires, need. I think you get one more year out of Brendel, but I think Colton McKivitz need. Now, they might have the fill-ins already, but I think if they don't, need, and they might not even draft. They might feel like the Niners get offensive linemen in free agency. I feel like that's their thing. Like they don't got time to develop motherfuckers. They want guys that fit their system, that can fit their system. So that's just my theory and thought process on the offensive line. So for those that are pissed off the offensive line wasn't addressed, understood. But I think just the way that the Niners do things, they just different. You know, hey quarterback, get the ball out of your hand quick. You don't need an offensive line. I think that's how they think of stuff. But you guys are amazing. Peace. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. There'll be live shows all week long as well as recorded shows. So make sure that your notifications are turned on so you don't miss an episode and you be like, damn, Breezy, I didn't know you was, it wasn't live, but it was recorded like it was live. So, make sure your notifications are set on. Don't forget to check out our sponsors again over at Residency. You can use that promo code, guys, www.residency.com. All right, you can save on your total purchase. And if you want to support me right here on the live streams and all the shows that I do, become a member of the Breezy Bunch crew. That's all I'm asking for you to do. I'll be on the Patreon this week breaking down some film on These Are the Breaks. And until next time, keep it up, faithful to the mother freaking Bay. Love y'all. What's up, faithful? Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure you check out some of the other cool videos.